So anyways, I'm here to teach you a whole lot, and there's really not a whole lot to it. There's really special things you need to keep in mind. Proportion is one, because presentation is everything. You go to a restaurant and you see a meal that just looks like it's thrown on the plates. It doesn't taste as good as just something that's just got pretty stuff drizzled on it. You want to have the pretty stuff drizzled on it. So that's really, presentation is, I'd say, half of it. But you've got to have a good rose. It's essential. So I brought you some examples of a few things. These are right out of my garden. Don't you guys have other ones that I can do, or those?
Yeah, that's over here.
Okay. And please feel free to ask questions. That'd be so great. So one of the biggest things that I see people do is first they don't look at the foliage when they pick it. You've got to have beautiful foliage. You don't want, I mean, I cram these all in one vase together, but when I travel to a flower show, a rose show especially, I make sure I put each one in a separate beer bottle so that the thorns from this one's not tearing up that one. And you want to take just some water and shine your leaves up. If there's bugs that have been eating them, they've got yellow spots on them, you're not even gonna get a third. They've got to be perfect. So take the time to do that. You do not want to strip all the leaves off, which is the first thing that amateurs do. They just take the leaves off. They think it's all about the rose. And then they cut the stem about here. And then they stick it in a glass jar. And it's just horrible. Well, the best way to get them to stand up really well, first have big thorns. Second, to have the foliage. Second, you get it in the neck. Yeah. So you want to put it in. And a lot of times they're the white ones, so they can't see all that inside there. But you want your bottom leaf to not look like it's crammed. So you want a really nice display.
So you always want to keep those leaves that are under the water?
Right, because you're not supposed to pick anything off. You're supposed to just do a long cut. Do a longer cut than you even imagine you're going to need. This looks silly. It's too tall. It's absolutely too tall. It's not proportional. So I want to have it, well, if it would go all the way to the bottom, I probably wouldn't need to cut it, but I can't get it all the way to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off a little bit. And if you take off too much, I got a trick for that too.
How tall is that?
It's got to look proportional. I think it's 2/3 to 1/3 is about, or half and half is about what you want. And see, this one's leaning.
The stem's about 20 inches?
Depends on the height of the, but cut them real long, and when you're putting them in, make sure it looks nice. Make sure it looks on purpose, and.
So not less than 50-50 and maybe a little more.
Right, depending on the size of the bloom. Right. So if it doesn't sit right, always bring a little bit of wadded up cellophane. Some people use foil, I like cellophane. How much this is, and I bring different sizes. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna stick it in here as a spacer. Okay. Doesn't always work the first time.
That's what we need to know. Keep trying.
Okay, this is not enough.
Chopsticks.
Now the opening is too big. I just tear off a bunch of pieces before I leave the house so that I have a lot, because I'd rather waste it than not have enough.
What's the difference between other material like cotton balls, Q-tips?
I like the
foil?
plastic because it's harder to see. And don't do Q-tips. Q-tips have a purpose, they're not for this.
So you wouldn't use the green styrofoam?
I don't like it. It's too hard to, this is so much easier to mess with and get in the right places. And the thorns are so big.
But try it.
What rose is that, Kathy?
This one, I think this is French perfume.
Oh, that's pretty.
Out of all the rose bushes I had, I could only find 3.
The Frederick one?
Yay! Great. Now, when you want to display it, you make sure you turn the vase. All right. So you see this petal right here? Looks horrible. People, it's a big mistake people do. They just leave it. They think it's. So what you do is you gently grab it and you rock it back and forth so it comes out. Okay, see this one here? Even looks worse. And you do that so that you don't leave a trace for the judges to see. Snap it out.
To show or something. Oh, okay.
And I've got another one over here that looks pretty bad. Okay? Now we've got a beautiful rose. It's leaning again.
What about the side bud?
Oh, no, you know what? The reason I picked this on purpose is if you know you've got a rose you're going to show in 2 weeks, that you really think is going to be a really long stem and you see a bud, cut that off surgically ahead of time. Because if you don't, like I did on this one, it's hard to make it snap perfect so that they can't see it. But when it's tiny, you can do it.
This is like 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
Yes.
Fingernail.
This is really too big to snap. Yeah, if you've got a grafting knife, that'll work really well to cut it out.
What's your
You just happen to have that in your pocket?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, am I using the right side? I'm putting my thumb on the sharp side of things. That wasn't good. You want to leave this little, it's so dark in here. And I want to be very careful because I can ruin this rose very quickly.
Yeah, I think there's a stage like just like the photo yard. And that was a good turn off.
It's very sharp. Am I using it wrong?
There's also sort of like needle nose, snips, fingers.
Right, so you want to cut it out real clean. And in my experience, the roses I think I'm taking, the time I go to pick, I find different ones even more beautiful. So I really, even my bird of paradise, I'll cut 3 or 4 of them. I think they're just gorgeous. They're sitting in the house, and making sure they're opening, being beautiful. And then I take one more pass through the yard. There's the winner. So you never know. I have 25 bird of paradise bushes, so I can do that.
Do you cover them? No. Any damage or bugs? Do you cover them?
No, I never have. I never have, no. All right, then we have Q-tips. The purpose of this, especially if you pick the night before, you want this to be a little more open. So you're going to take this and you're going to twist as you go in there so you're not jabbing. You want to put these around to open it up. I don't care if you have to put 15 of them in there. Do it. Just make sure you take them out. This will also bother any insects that are in there, and they will crawl out because that's automatic disqualification. I sacrificed an entire trunk of a giant bird of paradise to bring in the most beautiful bloom you've ever seen, but you can't get a stem off a giant bird, so I had to cut down the stalk to kill the plant to get it. Got it there. I think Lee had a big sunflower that year too. Both of us got disqualified for ants. We were crying together.
Little sneakies.
All right, so you understand what I'm doing? I'm forcing it open because you want it to be a little more open. So just put in as many as you think you need. But you want to pick a rose by the center. You want that perfect center swirl. And another one I brought here for you to look at. This is a beautiful rose. The center is deformed. It's great for flower arrangements at home. This one here is called ketchup and mustard. See the mustard and the ketchup? This is really beautiful. This one is a lot shorter. So what I would do with this one is I would use a much shorter base because you see, you want to get the height. So if you can get a shorter base for your rose. This one.
Which is another reason to go early, so that you have the best selection of bases. Sometimes the bases are out.
And sometimes they just don't sit right. It's the nature of this flower to be a little floppier. It's not the perfect tea rose. But you see the proportion I'm talking about?
Okay.
You just don't want your flower sitting on top.
What would happen if you have some aphid damage or some discoloration on one of the leaves on the complex?
Hopefully it's one in the bottom. Because you really don't want to see that.
Can you snip it off?
If you take off the leaf, you'll be able to tell. I was told years and years ago just to cut it the way that the leaf has this
Shape.
yeah, the whole shape of it. You can't do it. I don't care what kind of scissors you use, you get that shape natural. And you can tell.
So you're cutting a long piece, but you're not cutting off any of the leaves. I mean, unless you're cutting off the length.
Right. Taking off the bottom one isn't going to be noticeable, like in the throat of the bottle, you want to see them because they fold up. Okay? So, the height of it, the perfect foliage, taking off any damaged petals, and the other thing that's really important, make sure you fill that card out properly. It's really, really important. People got disqualified today at the flower show I was at. First of all, there wasn't a card several times. Second of all, once we awarded it, the clerk opened it, there was nothing written on it.
No name.
Rose.
John Doe.
I saw one of the most gorgeous blooms this morning. It was bigger than my hand. It was fully open. It was red. I don't know what it was. We kept looking at it, thinking of Mr. Lincoln. I said, that's huge. The fragrance just filled the room. Okay. Broke my heart.
So Kathy, we have quite a few new people in here that have never competed before. What information is usually on a tag?
Do you have one of the cards at all? It's usually pretty much what, you want to get the division, so you want to look at the schedule and find out what division you're in, what section you're in, and what class you're in. In different row shows, it's different numbers.
We can pass this around.
All right, so, at the top, there's division, section, class, so it tells you where to put what numbers. And then you need to put the variety or the class name. In roses, you want to put the rose name, and then you fold it. Don't you fold up? Fold down. So that you fold up, and you tuck it under this little flap. Because the judges don't want to know who you are, just in case we know you. So it basically just says what division, section, and class, and what it is. Down here, and most people get those return address labels that get sent out to you that you always
That's
forget
the
to use.
easiest.
Bring those, just stick it on there. Otherwise you're writing, especially if you're making a lot of entries, you're putting your name, your address, and all that information. And on the back here on the bottom, it says first, second, and third, or honorable mention. And this is where the clerks will punch what you win. And that's because they're trying to keep up with the judges, and then they come back and do all the awarding. So, I'll pass that around, and everybody will take a look at it. This one I really like. This center is gorgeous. Can you see that? This is a lot of petals on a rose. And it's absolutely beautiful. I would take off this one.
Dry petals.
This is St. Patrick?
Yeah.
I see the green. I didn't know if there was enough green to be a St. Patrick.
Yellow, enough yellow.
I mean-
Somebody that's has the card.
Yeah, it's got the, the green.
Yeah, you just send it that way.
That was one of our trivia questions last month.
Oh, they did? Oh.
Ask
What color is the St. Patrick's rose? And it actually has a basis in yellow.
See, this one's fallen down a little low too, so I take this one off. And this has so many, I didn't realize St. Patrick had so many petals. It's just gorgeous.
It lasts so long.
And now I've made it look a little lopsided because I took the other ones off.
Uh-oh. This is like triple games.
So I'm gonna take them off. Perfect, beautiful. Okay, good height. Come up a little bit. Good foliage, and shine your foliage. You don't need anything more than water. You don't have to get a bunch of soap out or anything. That's beautiful.
Best in show?
Martin?
Best in show?
Yeah. Isn't it called the Queen?
Well, at an ARS sanctioned road show, but not at a flower show. Flower show is just best in show.
And this one I brought. This is the
Tough.
black.
Thinking like
the
a
black.
blue show.
Or is this Oklahoma? No, this is Oklahoma.
Acoustics in this room with the highest.
Chrysler Imperial.
It just all the sound
This is-
goes away.
It's such a beautiful rose, but so much of it is already starting to fall that if you can take enough off to keep it to be a good rose, I'm not sure if this one will look right. But you definitely don't want to enter it like this. And when you get good at it, it just snaps. It comes right out. The whole thing comes out.
Does that have anything to do with the hydration of the stem?
Age. It's been open, how much sun it got. I don't know if I can save it because there's too many of them that just look too dark. But that looks a lot better. But the center is just not there. And that's how easy it is. It's not much. It's really pretty easy. And this one I think is too short for the vase. And so you never want to, oh, it's beautiful. But you never want to have your flower down touching on it.
That's a climate.
Yeah. I know I had something I was looking to bring in, I probably should have. It was a real stem on stem. I did disqualify one today. Beautiful rose. It's just, the rose that was beautiful was here, and then there was another stem that it was coming off of. They didn't even bother to cut it, they just kind of trimmed it and left the stem. It's so bad.
So Gary brought a bowl for the 2 new classes.
This is floating.
Yeah.
I've never competed in the floating ones, they're absolutely beautiful. And that's, if you have a rose and the stem's no good, foliage is no good, do a floating bowl. It's a good way to do it. And again, it needs to fill the space of the bowl.
Swim class.
This would take a fairly small rose,
That's for me.
because you don't want it to be too big.
So if it's floating, should it have no foliage?
Right, it'd be just a little
Just
stem.
bigger.
You don't need to stem it off. So ask me your questions.
You know, about the arrangement class?
No, I've never done any of the arrangements. I mean, I do them personally at my house.
Can we have a discussion, can non-perfect roses be in an arrangement then?
You want your roses to be as perfect as possible, because they're judging the rose.
But in the arrangement, or a bouquet? The flower division?
I could ask her.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a less than perfect flower in, just because it's so noticeable. There's been years I've gone to the flower show, and I'm looking at something that, the flower I would have put in, and thought, mine is better than that. So don't be afraid to take stuff, because if you walk up with your flower and go, oh, that's, just don't enter it. But take it, always take it. You had another question?
How about heirloom roses?
They're so beautiful. They don't grow like the tea roses. They're usually grandiflores or floribundins and things like that, or they usually have the droopier face to them. But there's so many classes in a rose show. Yeah, just don't enter it in the tea rose because you'll be killed. The tea roses are just special.
So when you, for the heirloom, if they're open though, you want the pollen to be.
Right, you want to see the stamen in there,
Stamen.
rather than the tight center, the T, right?
Can you talk about maybe transporting them?
Well, that's why I use beer bottles, and save a cardboard 6-packs, give a hand.
So that orange one right there, that's a real solid, that works for fully open.
Right, that's fully open.
Would you remove petals on the inside?
If they're pretty bad, I would. This looks really good. Well, this petal right here is damaged. But then again, you can throw off the whole balance of it.
And how misting out view.
I've never done that. Don't be afraid just to open them a little, to give them a little fullness. But they're beautiful. I kind of wish the rose show was next weekend. Oh, it's only 2 weeks away, right?
And is that one too close?
This one needs the Q-tips. This one definitely needs the Q-tips to open it. The nice thing about Q-tips is they're really hard for you to not notice, so you won't leave them in.
How long does it usually take to open up a?
Sometimes if you pick it the night before, you'll see in the morning that it's even more open. So if you've got one that's pretty tight, and then putting in the Q-tips, it will open easily.
So you put the Q-tips in the night before?
But you still want to maintain that swirl, so you don't want to damage it. Transporting 10 or 20 specimens is not for the faint of heart, because something's going to probably get damaged. If you've got somebody going with you, they can hold everything and keep everything steady. I'm usually driving and holding everything, and that's difficult. Now, there's a lot of judges like to look down on roses to be able to see them, and if they're really long stems, sometimes they'll ask the clerk to hold it down so that they can look at it, because as a judge, you're not allowed to touch it. I've been very, very blessed with my roses over the years because I have enough of them that I can find the perfect rose. And I've done it so many years in a row that they made me a judge, so I can't compete anymore. I did it to Gary too. They get mad at us when we win all the time. One thing I wanted to tell you that I brought, there was the Riverside Rose Society years and years and years ago had a big show at the Mission Inn. And David and Lee Stevens couldn't stand to see roses just being thrown away, so they gathered up a whole bunch. And David tried his best to propagate them. And this was one, and I think it was here that I wanted at a raffle. And I planted it. My bush is pretty big. It really doesn't need trimming. It's more just a shrubby type of bush. It's more of an old-fashioned rose. And the nicest thing is it's on its own roots. So it shoots over another rose bush, shoots over another rose bush. So you'll have plenty to give away. So I want to put that in the raffle tonight. We don't know what the name is, but it's beautiful. It's small, it's pretty, and it smells good. But it's Stevens Rose. Any other questions?
So if you have like a floribunda rose, so how do you make it?
Depends on the description. Some of them say open, or how many are supposed to be open. I think you're supposed to have them in different varying openness.
Stages.
Right, stages of openness. So you want to have one that's really beautiful, and it's okay to have a couple of buds. Yeah. And those they don't grow with the long stems, so you display them a little bit differently. This is really about the height of it, but you still don't want to have it crammed into a bottle. You still want to be able to see the spray. You want a judge to walk up and go, wow, what's that? And everybody else just fades away. And if you get that kind of wow, you generally get best of show. Did I forget anything?
May I ask, are we placing our own bases on the table? And so when you put them on the table, is there any strategy?
No, because the clerks are going to come by and arrange them, and they're going to check each one to make sure it's in the right category. And they may put it in another category, and I've had people do that, and then I ended up competing against myself in a category, and it wasn't intention on me. They did that. You're not supposed to do multiple entries in the same category. And we had a lady do that 4 times in the show this morning. She just cut everything and just started. I realized, I said, those 2 irises, they're 2 identical. They're off the same plant, absolutely. Then I looked at the handwriting, and it was identical too. So I told the clerk, I'll turn my back, you open it up, you tell me. Yep. Can't get first and second, not that way. But roses are a lot of fun. I love them. I happen to like the fragrant ones the most because I love to do bouquets and bring them in the house. And just from the ones that I brought, my car was smelling because Chrysler Imperial and French perfume are very, very fragrant. Does anybody want to come up and look at them?
Yes. How do we find out where the rules are at to learn more?
The schedule. Gary, do you have a schedule for the show?
They will be on the table.
I think it's online.
It's online,
It is
it's on our
online.
website. I did email it to Gary, but
Okay.
it's also on our website.
What's the website?
RiversideFlowerShow.com.
Yes, because they probably have a different one for hybrid too, different for Floribunda sprays and.
They'll be in the same division and the same section, but they'll be different classes.
There's 12 different classes.
Right.
And Riverside allows you to put one in if it's unknown,
Right. You could put in the
But you-
There's an unidentified
uncategorized.
category.
but you have to say unknown and don't try to guess.
No idea.
Unknown just means you're not up for best in show.
Yeah.
Right, it means you don't know what the bush is, maybe you moved in and the bush came with the house or something, but it has beautiful roses, you can still get a
It could
ribbon.
get a first place ribbon, but it's not gonna be in best in show.
But you don't want to try to guess and guess wrong and have the judge say that's not what that is.
Right,
So it's better to say you don't know. Okay.
and that's why we always had somebody there for the Rose Society that would give the 90% guess.
What other tools do you bring to prepare?
I pretty much brought them. I bring a towel, have water, Q-tips, plastic wrap, my clippers. That's the best things that I bring. Cut them extra long because you just can't add on. It's better to have to trim them when you get there. And come with plenty of time. I have a 4Runner, so I just open the hatchback. I make that my whole display area, set everything up, and do it all from the back of my car, and then walk in 2 at a time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like it.
Somebody I know, she had the wine box with all the dividers, and that worked well.
Yeah, the reason I use the beer bottles is because the cardboard container doesn't let the bottle move. I guess if you could saw off wine bottles.
Well, I don't think she's wine bottles, I think she's water bottles, but they were all the little different,
Oh, so
Sections.
they didn't move around?
I guess not.
That's a good idea. And with the plastic water bottle, if the top's not big enough, you can just cut it off.
Some of the big exhibitors have crates, and then they get PVC, and they line it all in
Okay.
there, and they can slip them in each one.
I did that one year, and I found that my flowers were too big, so I needed the PVC spaced apart more, because everything got all crowded. But yeah, I've tried numerous different things. But the nice thing about the PVC, if you use 1 inch, you know your foliage is good, but you don't want to push it down so far that it breaks your foliage and strips it. So the bigger around, the better.
I've seen the pool noodles cut up, but you have to crown the bucket because they'll bounce to the top. So you have the bucket crowned with pieces of pool noodles, but to me, the hole's a little small.
Oh, definitely, and the thorn will snag on it.
Yeah.
And then you maybe can't get it out, but you know what the pool noodles would be good for is if you had a bunch of bottles with roses in them and you want them separated, you can stuff the pool noodles in to keep everything
Yeah.
stabilized. That's a really good.
And very easy to cut with a steak knife.
Yeah, and then you don't have any worry about the
Yeah,
pool
that
noodle
would be
damaging.
Can I ask the audience, for those of you who have competed, what have you learned in the last few years? Do's and don'ts.
Yeah, just, Kathy covered it. They just push it aside. And it's very disappointing as an exhibitor to come back and not see anything, and it was DQ'd because you had aphids on it. So just make sure you think it's clean, then go back and look at it again underneath the leaves.
handling your rows,
Yeah,
like I've been doing here, you can see everything.
yeah.
And you stick these in and the bugs don't like them, and then the little silverfish, whatever those little pincher things come.
You ever
flying.
found
Earwigs.
You ever found a Q-tip still in the rows when you were judging?
No, I haven't. I've heard stories, but I've never
Yeah.
seen it. What do they do, use little ones?
Yeah, they cut the top off and just put the little piece inside and forgot to take it out.
Yeah, so I use a little one, because you can't miss that.
Well, now, do you cut your roses and go, or you cut them and put them in the house and wait an hour or so to pack up and go?
I do some in the night before, and then I'll look again in the morning.
Yeah, that way you've had a chance to kind of look at them and look at the bugs.
Right, well, we used to have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
so at 5 a.m., I'm out there hunting for the flowers. The presentation is all of it. You can make less than perfect rows look beautiful. So take the time to do it. Be gentle on them. You don't want to be ripping on them. You don't want to take half a petal and then can't figure out how to get the other half out. You really want to rock it nice and gently until you hear the little snap.
Any other words of encouragement for new pedagogists?
If you can, enter in more than one class. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how, once you know the secrets, because a lot of people don't know the secrets. I know in roses that if you belong to a rose society, you get taught on how to do this stuff. It's amazing how many people it just leaves their brain. So those are the really most important things.
Is there a trick to timing, like if you're entering in the fully open category? I've seen people bring some in that are not very open, and then like, when it's time to judge, it's just perfectly open, and I would never be able to figure out how to time it. Is there any trick to that?
Not within a few hours. I know with poppies I do it. I make sure I've got a poppy that's just a little loose on its first day of opening. And by the time I get it in there and get it displayed and the judges look at it, because it's been a few hours, all of a sudden it's open. But you don't want to pick one that's all the way open in the morning because it was open yesterday.
One time I entered a dainty best,
A what?
a dainty best,
Uh-huh.
and the judge marked on the tag what time he judged it. Because it got a first place.
Oh, because it won't
Because
matter.
later on, the next day, it wasn't as nice as it was.
Right, on Sunday when you come and pick up your flowers, especially poppies, all the leaves are down.
Yeah.
It's like, why'd they get that first place? Well, it was beautiful for a few hours. You just have to time it. Certain things take time. I know my bird paradise, I've learned how to actually pull the flower out of the bud to get a fully open one. And then you pull and it snaps.
Yeah.
I go look for another one. So there's all kinds of tricks, but cleaning them up, getting water drops off your leaves, getting dust off your leaves, making it shiny, make them look as fake as possible. Something like that. Yes.
For a spray, you're supposed to take that big one and send it first.
Right.
That should be on the same side.
Right, and in different stages of openness.
Okay. Yeah, I did a tree branch spray once, and I just grabbed the one that looked like it had the most flowers, and then I saw what other people had entered. Oh, I'm supposed to look at proportion and stuff like that, but, I just grabbed the one that looked most flowery.
Yeah, it's so much presentation. It really is. I'm really loving this one. It's just beautiful.
And then at the end, what can we expect as far as keeping roses or?
You can go back and pick up your roses after the competition.
I would like to talk on that.
Okay.
I have a list.
Yeah, because last year they,
Because last year, I took in the entries for last year, and there was some problems. So I just want
Took
to,
in the entries, what do you mean by that?
the entries to put on the table.
Oh, you put them in,
Competition.
okay.
You were clear or something?
Yeah, well,
Silver.
right.
there's a whole list.
Oh, really?
Well, and because it took so long. The table were good by the time, and it was
nobody's there.
This flower does not want
I
to
mean,
stand.
late Sunday, you're trying to see that last cow. Kathy, can I say one thing?
Sure.
My mentor, when I first exhibited, she told me, because it is fun, like Kathy said, to exhibit, she told me just get a bucket, go around your yard and clip anything that's blooming and enter it, because you never know what you might win. And then it gives you a chance to practice even on different types of plants.
Right. It's very time consuming to clip everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, you walk up with a cow lily and there's 3 of them that are gonna knock you out of the water, you decide not to enter.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a clerk with you and Nancy 2 years ago,
Okay.
but, okay, notice the entry participants. Know the name of your rows, otherwise it's just gonna be in one category, and then Riverside Flower Show is in charge of the awards, because I had people coming to me for the awards at the end, when Riverside Flower Show took the awards. Okay, then, the roses are not picked up at the end of the award ceremony, will be thrown away. You know the roses will get thrown away, because people sometimes don't, like what you just said, they want to keep the rose.
Right.
So they need to be there at the time the ceremony goes off.
Right, as soon as they're packing up the
Yeah.
stuff, everything is,
Yeah.
and that's
And
how
we
we
were
ended
throwing
up with
away
this one.
roses, and the lady came back with a rose, and she was pissed. I got it. She came at me. Okay, the other thing, Raincross provides the vases and bowls. A lot of people, there was a lady that brought a beautiful thing, but she had her own vases and stuff with her roses, and she cut off all the stems like this big. And it should have been in design care category, or I don't even know if they do have one at the flower show for design, but she had her own vases and stuff, but she had to take all of it out and put it into our vases, because she couldn't compete, but that's from not reading her class and all that.
And some of the amateur shows will let you do that, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, Raincross Rose Society provides vases and bowls. The flower show provides water for the vases and bowls. And then, the other thing, do not put your items on the display table where we put the roses that haven't competed yet. Because last year I had a lady, she put all her stuff and was doing her mess right on our display table for our roses.
No,
And
you
so
bring
I
it in
had-
ready to set down.
Yeah, I don't know her, I've never seen her again, and I had to tell her, please don't do this, because we were putting our roses in, you wouldn't want your stuff knocked over, they don't want their stuff knocked over. And then she had dirt and everything on the table.
That's why I do it in the back of my
And
car.
then, after I told her that, about an hour later, I see her, she's going down and touching all the roses that the judges have not seen yet. Trying to smell them and messing with them.
She didn't know.
in there.
She didn't know.
Yeah, she should
Yeah.
not have even been in there.
Yeah.
No, she didn't know.
So that's why this year I would like to prevent some of those things, so I just want to put a sheet on the table saying that we throw away the roses at the end.
As
So if you
people come
want
in.
to keep your rose, please be there for the ceremony, and then you can get your rose before we give the awards out.
And you can leave everything in the car, go in, get your vases, and then come out and do it in the car. You can bring a little table or something, or a chair with you, so that you can sit down and do it too. You don't, I stand up and do it, but my car's high enough. So it's experience, and the best experience is pay attention to what everybody else does.
It would be nice if they had an extra folding table outside the gate where people are bringing them in. That would be nice.
Oh, the other thing too, for you,
Well, we
the
do have a
president,
table.
No, the vice
But
president.
you don't
Vice
want people
President,
missing
mentioned at the flower show,
Because it's full of vases.
have at least 2
Right,
people
that's
that
what
can probably escort people into where they need
Yeah,
to
that's what we
go.
plan to do. this
Because
year.
last
We
year
do
I had
have a staging
older
table.
ladies, they thought we were the ones because we were in the front.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned
And
to
we were
them
had
too.
nothing to do with the show. So
Yeah.
I had no idea where you go for photography or for this. I was asking people for, because I competed in photography, so I was like,
Yeah, I wasn't sure why you guys were placed in the front, so
Yeah.
that's why I made sure to,
Yeah.
we have our people as the first people
yeah,
that are
your
coming
people should be in the,
and then we can direct.
Yeah. yeah.
So this sounds a lot, very nail biting. Anyone have that experience, interpretation here? It's a really fun event. I found just competing that people are very helpful when they're setting up, staging outside. Some people don't want to reveal any trade secrets, so they won't talk to you.
Right.
Okay, so you have each, you've experienced those. But there's
No, it's
different
like trying to get help
personalities,
from
people.
bingo players.
Right.
But ask questions. Most often than not, I always found someone to help me out. If not, go to the row setup table, ask our more experienced members, what do I need to do differently? And, allow yourself to learn and receive that critique. It's feedback. And this is how we grow. Each year it gets better until you
As a judge, we should put on there what the problem was if you didn't win. You try
Comments.
to.
Comments.
Yeah.
You tell the clerk what to write.
Yeah.
Well, the leaves were too holy, or something was wrong, or the petals are wilted, or the proportions off. We'll write something, and that's how you learn.
Also, Lisa, I have one more spot for Friday evening.
I'm already going to be there. I'll be present, but I'm not putting my name down because I'm in 4 different groups.
So how do you like the judging Friday night instead of Saturday morning?
I
A
don't
little
like
better?
it. I don't like it.
Hmm.
I got another day busy.
Oh, okay.
But the judging, the putting it in the judging is all on the same day.
And friendly face, I know that you just heard this is Vice Chair Carla. So expect to see her there, and she's helped coordinating this. We want it to go smoothly. We want it to go nicely and friendly. This is to build community. This is for education to our neighborhood, actually the whole city and county, Riverside County.
Yeah, it's open to everybody. And you do have to understand that a lot of these people who are entering, they're not members, so they have no idea, they have not seen this talk. We have our photographer here, so that's why he's recording, so that way we can put this on the website in hopes that some people will view it. But they come in and they have no idea what they're doing, what to expect. It's overwhelming for them. So yeah, we do ask that you help them out a little bit.
So I'll let you know, I had an event at my house last Saturday for the permaculture design course, and I had to repot some beautiful plant that I absolutely love. It's called Queen's Tears. If you want to Google it, it's beautiful. And I had to repot 2 of them that were really, really root bound. So I brought them forth.
Oh.
Now, you can divide this and make more. You probably don't need to. They do multiply very quickly. I have mine in a hanging pot, and the flower comes down and hangs. It's pink. It's gorgeous.
Okay.
I keep mine in my rainforest that has misters that come on every 6 hours. It doesn't like direct sun, and those have been sitting out for a week, but they're fine. They just look a little wilted, but they're not dead. So if you want some, take them.
It's written down.
Well, let's give Kathy a round of applause.
Thank you.